You have one new message. Translating. Disney and Pixar's Hoppers is now available on Disney+.
You could say that again.
Critics are calling it Pixar's funniest movie ever and a wildly entertaining ride. Blizzard Potato. It's certified fresh and verified hot.
Now we party.
This is incredible!
Wow, I am clearing the rest of the day.
Disney and Pixar's Hoppers, now available on Disney+. Rated PG.
When you need to build up your team to handle the growing chaos at work, use Indeed Sponsored Jobs. It gives your job post the boost it needs to be seen and helps reach people with the right skills, certifications, and more. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need a hiring hero? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs.
Hi, Dumpster Divas. Welcome back to another episode of Dumpster Dive, a reality TV deep dive with me, Tom Hamlet. I am sounding a little, if I sound a little, I just woke up. I am actually on vacation right now. I am in Asheville, North Carolina, visiting my goddaughter, niece, I don't know how we want to call her, my best friend's baby, and my best friend's toddler. And we've just been hanging out. But you know what's so funny is that this morning I looked on my phone, and who else is in Asheville, North Carolina right now but one West Wilson and Amanda Batula. I guess West officiated a wedding this weekend in Asheville. No, I have not seen them, but we've been doing kid stuff, so we haven't been like out at the bars, but I do think that they've been seen out and about running around town at all the Asheville haunts. So if you are in Asheville, keep an eye out for West and Amanda. I fly back on Tuesday, and I'm curious to see if they've already flown back. What if they're on my flight? What if they're on my flight? That would be crazy. That would be so crazy. What are the chances, really, you know? But yeah, it's been fun. I've been happy to be here, and I'm having a nice little vacay. So this is a Love Island episode. It's going to be a quick little touch base on episodes. Let me look at my notes. 14, 15, 16, 17. 16 is After Sun, which I did not watch. So it's actually just 14, 15, 17. Most of our energy here at this point is going to be spent talking about episode 17, because episode 17 was the beginning of my favorite time to be a Love Island viewer, and that is CASA AMOR. But we'll hit on kind of the big beats that happened in episodes 14 and 15. Before we get into that, though, I just want to say thank you guys once again for being here and listening and subscribing. Do make sure to check out the Dumpster Dive YouTube channel if you want a video version of this episode. I am on video in a room in a suburban house, if you want to see that. I have my New York Liberty shirt on. I've got my travel mic. I've got my iced coffee. Subscribe to the YouTube if you want to see that. And then also, if you want an early access version of this episode, do check out the Dumpster Dive Patreon at patreon.com/dumpsterdivepod. It's time to dive into Fiji. Let's get after it. So episode 14, the big moment of this episode was the recoupling, and then the fallout of how they were, what they did to choose who would go home. Now, initially, when they did the recoupling, I thought that there would be, I thought they would send two couples home. I kind of wanted them to send two couples home, because I do think we needed to kind of clean slate with this cast, which we are essentially doing with the new format of CASA AMOR, which we'll get to that. But I was worried about this villa vote for who stays, which, now correct me if I'm wrong, because there are much more Love Island historians out there in the listeners of the show, but I feel like in Love Island UK, it's always a recoupling or a fan vote that sends people home. It's not often that the Islanders are actually voting to send people out. I don't like when they we put the power in their hands to like stand behind someone to be like, oh, we're gonna save this person, because I just think there's just some politics that play into it, and I just don't really like it. I just don't think that it's like beneficial to the format of the show. Like the format of the show really is like, let us decide because we're seeing really everything that's going down, not y'all. Um, but yeah, so all the couples were ranked, and so Bryce and Trinity, Mel and Sincere, and Anaya and KC were all safe. Vulnerable were I'm blanking on everyone's names. Kenzie and Corbin, Gabriel and Jen, and Sol and Caleb. The boys and the girls split up and they decide to vote on who's going to be sent home. And the boys decide to send Sol home, and the girls decide to send Gabriel home. Now, a couple things here. One, Sol got a really bad shake in Love Island, and she called them out on it. And she was like, hey, here's the deal. This is Love Island. This is not partner up and be monogamous island. So y'all need to be out in these streets a little bit more. And if you're not, I don't need to be here. And she said that I liked that she said, I hope when more bombshells come in that you decide to give them a little more grace than you gave me, because I felt incredibly like in the background of this group and left out. So I'm happy she had her last word. I do think it was shady though that Mel and Sincere had to be the ones that were like making the decisions. I don't know if that was a production. That feels production to me. But then it came up later where Trinity was like, why did Sincere get up and do that? That was not right. And I agree. And part of me thinks that they just made that decision on their own. So I didn't like that. And then the reason they sent Gabriel home was because they thought that he was just having too many connections and was mingling too much and wasn't actually here for the right reasons, but was just here for lustful reasons. Kenzie has been trying to use this word lustful a lot. I'm like, it's Love Island. It's Love Island, Kenzie. Kenzie, by the way, Kenzie is about to be. The second she got locked down with Corbin, did y'all notice something that shifted about her? Something changed? Is she gonna start wearing some kente cloth or something? There's been a shift in this white woman. There's been a shift since she got locked down with Corbin and started taking it from behind with Corbin. Okay. Also, Corbin had a hilarious moment where he was like, my kinesthetic trigger to get into Corbin voice is, can you give me a kiss? Can you give me a kiss? But he was like, I wish I could dream. I wish I could dream. He just famously doesn't have dreams, not beating the allegations that you are a computer diva. No, but then, yeah, they send Gabriel home because he's too much of a hoe, and Jen is confused and upset. If I were choosing, I think I would have sent Kenzie and Corbin home or Gabriel and Jen home. I think I probably would have sent Kenzie and Corbin because I would have been like, y'all have been fighting for this relationship and you're locked in, so go enjoy. Go enjoy. But I think Kenzie was really butthurt about the fact that she was not America's favorite. I think she thinks she's absolutely eating. She's like, America fucking loves this ass, loves these splits. And I think it really tore her up. Yeah, so they go home. Episode 15 is kind of them packing their bags and heading out. And I really think that this was a messed up elimination. The internet wasn't loving it either. I feel like the internet was generally pretty bummed that Saul didn't get a shot at being, in any sort of couple. The girls and the boys split up to unpack everything, and the boy Zach is being so fucking messy, so messy. I don't really understand why he like thinks that he runs this villa. It's very weird to me. Like I really don't quite understand what his POV is here, but then also the other part that's so bizarre to me is that he he's like he's like, we're here to explore. Gabriel's exploring. What's wrong with that? And it's like, yeah, but Zach, you're not exploring. He's a proponent of other people exploring, other people being a part of the premise when he is locked into a relationship. And it's just messy. And I think he wants just to break everyone up. I think he has some kink on breaking all these couples up because he's trying to get in Casey's head about Anaya. He's trying to get in Bryce's head about Trinity. What do you want? Like, what's your end goal? I understand that everything is about exploring here, which is important, but I really don't get why he's acting the way he's acting, and it's really messy. And Kata, you can tell, is starting to get the ick from it, truly. So yeah, they're all unpacking. Zach is being a little bitch. They send Gabriel and Soul off on their way, and um, he as they send them off, he says under his breath, he's like, where is it in my notes? He's like, oh, well, you'll be lucky if you get breakfast in the morning. Zach says that to Trinity and Kata, and they're like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, go get a life. Like, you are acting so butthurt about Gabriel getting sent home when were you even friends with Gabriel? I don't think so. Okay, so the next morning we get the gayest moment heard round the villa, and that is girth check, girth check, girth check. We get Zach, Zach and Bryce are getting ready, and Bryce goes girth check and pulls open his swim trunks, and Zach looks in, and he says, that's snake you got in there, and he goes, that's as long as my boner. And then, Bryce goes, yeah, that's just my semi. That's just my semi. This morning was also the moment where we had Trinity goes, I had a nightmare, but I was good though. Oh no, she said, I had a nightmare, but it was good though. And that's when Corbin goes, I wish I could dream. It's y'all, it is so cuckoo crazy. Zach is still being a messy little diva. And then we get also, by the way, the conversations around the girth check and gay storyline of Zach and Bryce online. I think it's fun and funny. People are getting a little homophobic though. I think people don't realize I do think there is a group a large group of straight people in this world that don't realize how homophobic they actually are in all of the ways that they make exceptions for women on women but then because it's hot to them, but then when it's man on man, it's demasculizing, it's vile, it's disgusting. And I do think like it's weird, the discourse online with some people where they're disgusted or bothered by the Zach and Bryce conversation, but when the girls are like making out in a challenge, or everyone was like making jokes about begging Bea to like make out with Mel, and it's like, okay, so you want the girl on girl, but what you don't want to see is the guy on guy. If Bryce and Zach are like besties, but like kind of like each other a little bit, that's sweet. Who cares? I don't think it's a big deal. Oh, also, I have my Love Island water bottle with me while I'm recapping today. No, I don't think it's a big deal. I think it's funny and fun, and I live. But I kind of am like, y'all need to relax a little bit about the discourse. I just don't think it's that deep. Also, I'm sorry. I've been gay for 35 years of my life. Gay men don't really like gay men will hook up with each other, like friends will hook up with each other, but we're not just like going around being like, "Can I see your dick for a second? I want to see like how it measures to mine." That is such a straight guy thing. So like honestly, girth check to me was straighter than any of their behavior, because I think straight guys are more interested in the the size of each other's dicks than even gay guys are. Gay guys like want to like find a big dick to climb on. Well, yes. But I don't think we're like, can I can I see your dick, bro? Just real quick. A pic. Not really. It's always sexually driven. It's not like for fun. For funsies is so straight. It's so straight to be like, let's like put our dicks together and like see who's longest. That's so straight. Like I was the gay guy that in the locker room in high school like would hide because like I didn't want to be around naked men because it freaked me out. So like I just think there's uh I'm not using my words right. What is the word? Misconception about what would be gay and not in terms of looking at dicks. And that's a platform I'm standing on, okay? We get this Prince and Princess challenge. To be honest with y'all, I did a little fast forward to this one because I just was like, the rules of this were crazy. It was like, so what's going to happen is first, you're going to be a prince. And then after that, you're going to go find an apple. And then the apple is going to be, it's going to be poison. And then the poison's going to land on the person that you trust the least. And then after that, you're going to explode the poison all over someone else and then make out with that person. And then lick the toes of the third person from the right. And then you win. That's what some of the Love Island challenges are, right? At the end of the day. But the highlights here was that there was a lot of toe sucking, and Corbin didn't want to do anything with toes. And then we got a shot of Kenzie's toes. Baby. Kenzie's toenails are fighting for their life. I think she has acrylic toenails, like, or gel toenails. Is that a thing? Gel toenails? That's what it looked like to me. And I think she's got it. I think that is what she's rocking. So, yeah, Kenzie's got the gel toenails, and we also have this one drama that happened. Sorry, guys, I'm playing with my notes real quick. This one drama that happened was that the question was, who is? It's like who's lying about their intentions, or it was something along those lines, and one of the guys put it on KC, and once again it put Anaya in her head, and Anaya just stays in her head when it comes to this relationship with KC, and I want to free her from that in a way because this is Love Island after all. And in episode 17, she makes a comment. She's like, if he really wants to throw away 3 weeks of a relationship, then he should just do that. And it's like, from the outside looking in, think about that sentence. 3 weeks of a relationship. 3. So there was a little bit of a fallout from that. And then it's revealed at the very end of that episode. Trinity reveals to Anaya that KC had the sole vote. Oh my God. That was unintentional. KC had the sole vote to keep Soul in the game when they did their vote in episode 14. So that shakes Anaya, and that really bothers her, and then that wraps up that episode. We got After Sun. I'm gonna watch After Sun later today. I saw the clips of Soul and Gabriel's interviews, and I thought Sierra had a great conversation around Black women's hair and why is it that there's so many conversations around it in general by the white viewers about what they do and don't do with their hair, Soul included, and I thought that was really nice that she brought that up. But I'll need to do a deeper dive into After Sun before I comment further. Okay, episode 17. There's been a lot of discourse online. I think last whole week of Love Island USA was dark. It was a really dark time in Fiji. There were no bombshells. There hasn't been a bombshell since Soul, which Soul entered in on episode, I think it was episode 8, 7, and we are now recapping. We just recapped episode 14 and 15, both of which she was on. And she was the last bombshell. I mean, usually they are churning out these bombshells, which we kind of learn why there's been no bombshells. We'll get to it in a second. But um it's just been really slow this week, and so I thought episode 17 was a jolt of energy, much needed jolt of energy, and I really enjoyed it. So we have a little bit more fallout from the princess game. And then we get this hilarious moment in bed where Trinity is like, she goes, you have been showing everyone but me in regards to his dick. And he goes, you can look at it, I don't care. And so he like lifts up his underwear and he goes, it's a softie. And she goes, "Ah, it's cute." And then the next day she reveals that it's the first white dick she's ever seen. Shout out to the white dick. What's so crazy is there's a like baby sleeping like in the room next to me and a child playing with a puzzle right outside this door, and I'm like getting all naughty in here talking about Love Island. I promise I'm if it sounds like I'm whispering, that's why. So we see little D, and then everyone goes to sleep. Kenzie takes it from behind again, and then the next morning we start to learn about French fry sex. Now, does anyone know what French fry sex is? I still didn't get a really good landing on what it was, but allegedly that's what Corbin and Kenzie did, was French fry sex. My thought is that it's like a French fry, the white dick in question. Well, Corbin's not white, but that was just for comedic relief. The dick in question dips into ketchup. Is that what we're talking about? And French fry sex doesn't mean wait. Wait, French fry sex doesn't mean having sex on your period, does it? I mean, once again, shout out, like, live your life, do whatever you do. But I pray that that's not what that means, right? Like French fries in ketchup. I pray that's not what that means. Not like I'm grossed out by period sex. It's more being like, what a crazy thing to name like ketchup. And you know what? I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna move on. So we also get a really, one of the things I love about Love Island is when the dum-dums kind of wax poetically. And one of the things one of the dum-dums say is Sincere goes, I think the reason they only have chicken sausage is because they most likely don't have turkeys here. And then he just like looks out into like the Fiji sun. He's like, they only have chicken sausage because they most likely don't have turkeys here. And then we get Sincere and Mel have a conversation, and then Anaya and Mel have a conversation, and Mel says that she thinks that Sincere and her are going to lock it down. Now, I want to give a big shout out to Mel later in this episode. I thought Mel was so well adjusted with everything that started happening with CASA AMOR. This is the most grounded we've seen her. And I wanna say, Mel, I am so proud of you for being level-headed about the game of Love Island here. I think we all had our doubts about where you were at with your relationships because you fell so hard for Sincere. But I have to give it to you, girl. Like, you legitimately were like, let them do this. Let us learn. Let us see. And we will move on from here. I was really, really taken aback by her decorum around Casa Amor. May all of the Islanders be so realistic about the fact that these boys will be boys at Casa Amor. And then we get a text, and that is that they are doing the heart rate challenge. So they all think they're doing the heart rate challenge, which is a very famous Love Island challenge. Always a great moment. The heart rate challenge. I think it's always one of like the highlights of a season where they dance on the Islanders, and then later Ariana reveals whose heart rate went up the highest for which person. But while the boys are getting ready for the heart rate challenge, they get a text. And the text message says, pack your bags, you're going to Casa Amor. Now, y'all, Casa Amor makes me feel alive. Truly, I love Casa Amor. It's why I love Love Island. I think that Love Island is at its best when Casa Amor is happening because we are operating in the most messy scenario. So the boys go, wait, let me adjust my notes. So the boys pack their bags and they go to the other villa, or to Casa, rather. And the girls get all dressed up in their fetish outfits and they go sit around the fire. And while they're around the fire, there's a huge box, a present right in front of them. And they think the boys are all hiding in the present. But then what happens is the front of the present drops and it is a television of Casa Amor. This sent a chill up my spine. This was good reality TV making. You know, I've been hard on this season of Love Island, but I do think that this was some really solid reality television making. So they have to watch the boys do the heart rate challenge with the new women. It's tough. It's tough. But that's why we love the show. That's why we love it. We really do. I thought this was a gag. This was a full gag. And also, but then I some people are like, it's movie night comboed with Casa Amor. This isn't movie night. I want to clarify. Like in Love Island UK, they do things like this a lot where like the guys will go to drinks and two bombshells will show up to the drinks and the women have to watch them go on dates. But then they have movie night later, which is actual movie night where you watch and see what people had been saying on camera behind your back. I still want movie night. Let's make that clear. So at Casa, we start to do the heart rate challenge. So our first bombshell is Parmita. Parmita is this gorgeous Persian woman. And she delivered a haunting line. She said, "I'm not a regular cat. I'm a Persian cat." Write it in the history books. Poet laureate Parmita. And during her go around of all the guys, we get a clip of Corbin saying, I'm going back with somebody different." Kenzie is delusional to think that Corbin was all locked in on her. That's my other thing is like, girls, you did know Casa Amor was coming. It's kind of it's a fixture on this show. Like we know Casa Amor is happening. Then we get Jaden. Jaden is this white blonde girl. She's dressed as a police officer, and her lines are all absolutely hilarious. She's like, "Hey, it's time to crack down on the law. You were speeding." And then the next one, she's like, "I have a handcuff, and that handcuff is to put on your wrist because it's time to lock you up for all the things that you're about to do to this booty." It was crazy. I was like, Jaden, shout out. You're doing what you can. Bryce reveals that he's hard. Shout out to that. That does not go over well with Trinity. Trinity and Kata are the ones that are most kind of like, fuck these guys. Fuck that. Fuck these guys. Fuck this. Absolutely not. I hate to laugh, but Then we get Tiara. Tiara was one of my MVPs. Gorgeous in that nurse's outfit. And honestly, none of them can really handle her. She has a beautiful figure and a beautiful behind. And seeing her twerk all over Bryce didn't know what he was doing. He was literally like poking the cheeks. He was like, what is that? What is that? Okay, y'all. Then Alana. Okay. A couple things. Alana, as of this morning, has been removed from the villa or from Casa due to some personal reasons. The reasons that are personal was that she too was filmed saying slurs in songs in her car. Like, I'm sorry, what is happening? Is this just a thing we do now? We just like film ourselves saying the N-word in cars while we ride around with our friends and post it on TikTok? Is this what we do? Is this what white people are out doing? I can't believe how many instances of this have happened. It's because then you're like, because then I'm like, okay, it may not be filmed of Kinsey doing it, but your brain goes places. I mean, you're like, have you said the N-word, Kinsey? So, Alana is no longer there, but you know what? I could have seen this coming. With the way she only turned up for the white boys, and then every time there was a non-white guy, she was like, "You're just gonna get a kiss. I'll just blow you a kiss." It's like, what the? Just girl, get in the mix, play the game, do something. It was so annoying to me. And then we get Sydney. Sydney looks gorgeous. She's in this like drag racing outfit. And she says to Sincere that he looks like Lord Farquaad. I really liked that. I do think I missed someone. Wait, Sierra, Alana, Tiara, Jaden, Parmita. Oh, Amora. I missed the first one. The first one was Amora. Amora and Sierra were my two MVPs. I mean, that's Tiara. Amora and Tiara. Amora was dressed as a firefighter, and she looks absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. I think Amora and Sierra and Parmita are the three that will end up with boys. I think that Tiara is going to end up with KC. I think Parmita is going to end up with Corbin. And I could see Amora ending up with, honestly, any of them. Any of those boys. I think she would. Caleb seemed to really like her. I think that Corbin also liked her as well. I don't know. I could see something happening there with those three. Although I do wonder what's going to happen with Alana leaving. Are they going to replace her with someone? Or are they going to keep it moving? It's so crazy how many racists are on these shows. What is happening? What is happening, guys? Here's the thing. I don't wake up every day and take to the mic and be like, we gotta talk about race relations on Love Island. I'm just talking about what's happening on this show, and this is happening. It's crazy. It's crazy. So all the girls meet. They're chatting, and the boys are chatting, and they're all kind of like chatting about who they think are their people. And then we go back to the villa. The villa girls learn that they are not getting boys yet. They're not getting boys yet. And so they go to make grilled cheeses and start to just be sad, and then start to do some dancing to kind of get through the pain. And then, that's kind of it. With the girls in the villa, they had a really sad night. Can you imagine getting all dressed up in your finest fighter outfit? And then, after all that, all you got to do is just go make grilled cheeses and go to sleep. That is such a bummer. That would really bum me out. So, back at CASA, the boys start to do their dancing for the girls. And these boys, a lot of them, what I will give to Corbin AI does have swag about him. So, like, he can carry, like, a little bit of a, like, hey, you want to give me a kiss? You want to give me a kiss? Like, that can carry for a little bit. And KC has moves and swag and, like, he has some, like, Magic Mike moves. So the two of them I thought were decent. And Sincere at least would go there in terms of, like, he wanted to, like, go to Pound Town. He was like, which, yeah, I like that. The rest of them, baby, no. Bryce. Old man Bryce. What was that? He was like, at the end of the day, I'm a funny guy. humor goes so much further than looks. And I'm like, I do agree with that on paper, but this is Love Island. So in the landscape of Love Island, does it, Bryce? Does it? So yeah, they're all dancing. The big takeaways of this was, and also the cameras had been turned off by this at this point, so the girls didn't get to watch the guys dance on the Casa girls. But a couple highlights: Bryce being funny. Bryce also did have a good line. He said, "Hope you girls brought some protection because I'm about to lay some pipe." Pipe. You know what? Get it. Good work. And Zach. I just said, what is this, honey? What is this? What is all this? He was also getting a little too. I thought he was getting a little too handsy. There's a line between handsy being like fun. His vibes. He's starting to have like a sinister vibe to him. Are y'all clocking that? I don't know. There's something off. And Casey was MVP for the dancing. I thought he did a great job. A really, really great job. Also, they love doing this thing where they pick up the girls and the girls straddles and they just fling them up and down like they're bouncing on their D. And I'm all set on that. I think I'm actually all set on that. I'm all set on that. It doesn't look fun. The girls like I feel like if we had the real audio, like the live audio of the girls, they'd be like, oh God, ow. But maybe that's what some sex with some of these people sounds like. But that kind of brings us to the end of episode 17. The teaser we get, though, for the tomorrow night, we get 12 boys for the girls. I like this twist. I think this is really fun. So they're going to mix and mingle with 12 boys and decide who it is that they want to couple up with for the time in Casa there with the 12 boys. I assume that like 6 will just go home like tomorrow night or maybe on Tuesday night. But yeah, I think this is such a fun twist. It's so funny. They have 12 boys, and now at Casa Amor, the guys only have 5 girls because one of the girls got sent home for being a racist. So 5 girls, 12 boys. I was worried. I thought we were mistreating our ladies. No, we're setting up our ladies for success. I love to see that. And my predictions of who's going to wild out in Casa for the girls, I think Anaya is going to play some games, as she should. It's Love Island. I think Kenzie is going to get all up on some men. And I think that, I don't think Trinity will do anything. I think Kata is I love Kata, but I think Kata's a really turn up by Zach. And I want her to play. I want her to find some hot men's. But I'm a little worried about it. I'm just a little worried about her actually opening herself up to another guy because I think she had a really tough response to everything that was going on in Casa with Zach. So I'm worried about that. But we have a great episode. I'm probably going to record just another episode only on tonight's episode 18, because it's 2 hours. It's going to be 2 hours long. And I know these Love Island recaps they're quicker and they're not as lengthy as our Bravo recaps, but I do think that one will deserve its time in the sun. So, yeah, having fun with Love Island coverage per usual. I have not watched Atlanta or Rhode Island yet. There will be recaps. I'm going to do a lot of solo recaps this week just because I am traveling. And so getting guests organized has been a tough one this week. But next week we have great guests lined up for both Atlanta and we're going to do a season Real Houses of Rhode Island recap with a fun get, a new friend of the pod. So I'm excited for y'all to hear that. But this week, lots of solo recaps, lots of Love Island. I'm going to touch down with Atlanta. You'll get your recaps maybe just a couple days later than usual this week, but I love you all. Make sure to subscribe to YouTube. Check out Dumpster Dive wherever you subscribe, and make sure to hit that 5-star button. Write a little review that says, "Oh my God, I absolutely love Tom's Corbin impression. Can you give me a kiss?" And if you want an early access version of this, subscribe to the Patreon at patreon.com/dumpsterdivepod. I will be back tomorrow, probably with more things to chat about. Can you give me a kiss?